The following portion of Showcase is sponsored by Resilience Counseling and Social Skills Center. Mental health is just as important as your physical health. And here to share why counseling can be such an important part of helping us live our best lives every day is Director of Client and Community Engagement and podcast host, Eron Cavanaugh. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Melissa.
So tell me, why do you feel like it's so difficult sometimes for individuals to seek mental health support?
One of the reasons I think it's so difficult is that there's still a lot of stigma around mental health. I think that's gotten better over time and over the years, but that can still be really hard for a person to say and even realize sometimes when they need help. Who do I ask? What do I do? Right? Where do I start?
Right.
And I think that can be just a really tough thing for a person to do from the get-go. Even though there have been an increase in available resources over time.
Sure, especially with teledoc and different ways to do that. I think sometimes people maybe didn't come from a background where therapy was recommended or okay,
100%.
So breaking that cycle. Is that part of the reason why you guys decided to do the podcast for Resilience Counseling? Is that kind of some of the goal in creating it, or what were y'all thinking?
We definitely want to give people an idea of what it might look like to come and talk to one of our counselors, or maybe see someone from another agency. Because we have people from both our group and from other groups talk about their experience, their expertise, their backgrounds a little bit, as well as some of the interventions they might use. And that can help somebody get an idea of what it might actually be like then to talk to that person, what they might actually be doing, and kind of hear from them a little bit. So it's definitely part of that community engagement piece for the podcast, is what would it be like to come in and have a conversation with this person.
Yeah, it's not as scary as it seems, especially if you feel like you know that person.
Right.
Yeah, so you'd mentioned community outreach and engagement. I know you guys are going to be part of the Spring into Wellness Mental Health Resource Fair for families that's happening with Chesterfield County Schools April 8th. Why is it so important that you guys are out there in the community and speaking with people?
Yeah, first and foremost is just to say we're here and we want to help, but it can be really hard to know where to start for that. A lot of people aren't sure who to look to. I think I mentioned that already, but there's so many different agencies, and being able to talk to someone in person even before you even make a phone call can be helpful. The other part of that is just there's not always availability that we have, right? And a person might need services that we don't necessarily offer. So it's not just meeting people who might want to talk to one of our counselors, but it's also making connections with some of the different agencies in the area.
Gotcha.
Is we might have a person who needs care that is beyond our scope of practice.
Right.
They might have more intensive needs. They might have an acute crisis. So us having resources for them to point them in a different direction to say, this is maybe goes beyond what we're doing here, because we're kind of like the first line of defense, outpatient therapy. But here's someone else who might be able to help you a little bit further along.
Same way with a physical doctor, right? You may go to a primary care physician for one thing, and they may recommend that you go to an expert in a different area to get more resources.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Tell me about your background. What made you decide that counseling was the way you wanted to go?
Sure, yeah, for me, it was, I would chalk it up a lot to conversations and experiences that I was having with some friends from my early life. I just enjoy helping people. I know that sounds maybe oversimplified.
No, that's real. That's legit.
Yeah, and that's something that I got a lot of satisfaction from. I've known a lot of people even before I was doing mental health professionally who had struggles and were trying to deal with different things, and trying to help them navigate those experiences was something I really enjoyed doing and wanted to do more of.
Well, I love that you're doing it. Thank you for what you do as a counselor. And you can learn more about Resilience Counseling and Social Skills Center. Visit resiliencecounseling.care, and make sure you stop by the Spring into Wellness Fair happening April 9th from 4 to 7. You can scan the QR code. And this segment of Showcase was brought to you by Resilience Counseling and Social Skills Center.